Hello all, welcome back to the NetWorker training series, and in today's video we will be talking about NetWorker devices and storage nodes. So before we dive into discussing on what NetWorker devices are and how they are configured, we would need to understand what volumes are in NetWorker. So volumes in NetWorker is volume is a unit of media such as a tape cartridge or a file system directory or a folder on your data domain, which is used to back up data or where the data is written to. So a volume in generic terms is an object to which you write data to. So depending on to which pool a particular volume is labeled, it can be categorized or divided into a backup volume as well as a clone volume. So we have already seen what type of pools are available in NetWorker in our previous video. If you haven't checked that video, please go ahead and check that. I'll put up a link on the iCard. So depending on which volume a pool belongs to, it can be called as a backup volume, which is essentially a volume belonging to a backup pool, or a clone volume, which is a volume belonging to the clone pool. So every volume is mounted on a device. So a device in NetWorker is a resource which can be a tape drive, a file location, it can be a data domain. A device is basically a physical entity on which a volume is mounted where a volume is nothing but logical entity, and depending on numerous factors, we have the devices divided into a number of categories. So based on the device type, you have devices divided or categorized as tape devices, AFTD or advanced file type devices, cloud devices, which are devices which are created on an integration device called as a cloud boost, or it can be a data domain device which uses DD boost protocol to create a folder on the data domain and store data on it. Depending on the configuration and management type, we can divide the or classify the devices as standalone or as jukebox. A standalone device is one which does not have a robotic arm associated with it. So any kind of mounting of the device or unmounting of the device, if it has to be done manually. A very basic example for this is a standalone tape drive. So when you're talking about a tape library which is the second category in this subdivision, which is the jukebox, it contains tape drives as well as a robotic arm, and the tapes which are associated with that particular tape library are all placed in another entity called as slots. So whenever a tape is required or there's a requirement for a tape for backup, what NetWorker does is that it asks the jukebox to mount the respective tape into a particular tape drive, and the robotic arm is going to handle the movement of tape from your slot to the tape drive, or when a tape drive is done reading, the movement of the tape from the tape drive to the slot is handled by the robotic arm. So this is how things work in a jukebox. But whereas in a standalone device, if you want to change the tape in a tape drive, this has to be done manually. So this category is mainly affected when you're talking about tapes, and this is not affected for subdivisions like data domain or device types like data domain or cloud or file type devices or advanced file type devices, because in the latter, the manual, we do not have to physically go and remove hard disks or anything of that sort. It's just a device which is there, and the mounting or unmounting is a logical activity which is done for mounting the object into the particular device, or unmounting would mean that making the device or making the volume unavailable for backup or restore. Depending on the location of the device from network server, it is categorized as local or remote. A local device being a device which is locally connected to your networker server, and a remote device is a device which is configured or connected to the storage node. So we'll talk about what storage nodes are in the next slides. So when you're talking about local devices, especially in terms of a tape drive is a SAN connected device, which means that when you have a local device, it would mean that the tape drive is connected directly to the backup server via the fiber switch or a SCSI, which is a SAN connection. Whereas a remote device is a tape drive or a jukebox, which is connected directly to a storage node and not the backup server. So let's see what a storage node is. So storage node is a networker component that is used to physically control backup devices. So I think in the earlier slides wherein we were talking about the building blocks of networker, we have come across this term storage node. And storage node in generic terms is also called as a media server. So a media server is used to control devices. So these devices can be tape drives, they can be tape libraries, they can be data domain devices, AFTDs, FTDs, and or cloud boost devices. Depending on the configuration on the storage node, we can also divide the storage node as a general storage node or a dedicated storage node. So the concept of dedicated storage node is now very old and it is not being used. So this was specifically being used when we were using tape devices. So as I told you, a tape device or a tape drive is connected to a storage node via a SAN. And when you're talking about backups over in an environment, a client sends data to the tape drive through the storage node. So the data has to travel from the storage from the client to the storage node via TCP/IP, that is over LAN, and from the storage node it travels through to the tape drive over SAN. A dedicated storage node is a storage node which can back up the data which belong to itself. Meaning, if a particular storage node has to back up data which resides on the same system, only then that data was being allowed to back up to a dedicated storage node. A third client would not be able to send data to a dedicated storage node. It had to always send data to a general storage node. So a general storage node is a storage node which can receive data from any of the clients. It does not have restriction on which client can or cannot send data to it. So depending on the configuration on the action or on the client configuration, the storage node is allowed to receive data from any of the clients. Now you might have questions regarding client direct, wherein a storage node actually does not receive any data from the client, but the client is sending data directly from the storage from the client to the data domain itself. So but that is again another concept. We'll take it up in another video. So for now, just understand the general concept of storage node. So storage node is a network component that is used to control the backup devices. So when I say backup devices, I'm using generic term as backup device. It can be a clone or a backup device. So that's what a storage node is all about. So let's go ahead and look at how to create a storage node in NetWorker. So for my demo here, I have a backup server. So let me show you my GCP environment. So a few of you have had commented regarding on the environment I'm using. So this is my environment, the demo environment that I have, which is running on Google Cloud Platform. I have a networker server which is named as LNW1. I have a Linux storage node, and I have a Windows storage node. So let's go ahead and jump on our NMC and look at what we have here. So the storage nodes are configured under the devices tab, and on the left hand pane you could see that we have a resource type called storage node. So when you install NetWorker, you have default devices created, and when you come here and see, you already have a storage node created, which is the backup server itself. So if you know, under the initial introduction videos, we spoke about a NetWorker server uh, carrying out the role of a client, a storage node, as well as a NetWorker server. So that is why you see that the NetWorker server is also added as a storage node, because it is also capable of controlling devices. So let's go ahead and add a new storage node. So for this, all you have to do is right click on the storage node, select new. Okay, let's put in the name of our storage node. So I'm going to use the FQDN name. So for that, let me quickly jump back and get the FQDN of my storage node. So this is my storage node. Oops, okay, this is my storage node. Let's jump back, put the name here. Okay, this is the host name. These are a few of the options that I have in the create storage node or the storage node properties. So type of storage node is, so silo is something that was used long time ago. I'm not going to talk about this one here. And then we have an NDMP. So NDMP is basically a NAS filer or an NDMP device or an NDMP appliance, which itself acts as a storage node because it has data mover installed on it. I won't be looking at these two for now. So let's just select the SCSI as the type of the storage node here. Next here, let's go to the configuration tab. And on the configuration tab, you have a number of options. I don't think you need any of the options here. Just leave it to default. And this was the option for the dedicated storage node. We are going to keep it as no because we need this as a general storage node, and nothing else to be configured here. Let's go ahead and click on OK. So you see that we have the device or the storage node created. So you would see that the NetWorker server is asking for the NSR SNMD to be started on our storage node. So I hope you remember from our NetWorker processes chapter or video that the daemon used to control the storage node is NSR SNMD. Okay, and that is what NetWorker NSRD is asking the storage node to start. So let's create another storage node, which is our Windows storage node. Our Windows storage node is, I assume it's WinSN1 if I'm not wrong. Let's go ahead and check. So I'm not going to change anything else and click on OK. Now there we go. And you will see here that the NetWorker server will ask the NSR SNMD to be started on that machine as well. So you will see that in a few minutes. So this is how you create the storage nodes. The creation of devices, since we have number of devices, different types of devices in NetWorker, I will be breaking each one of the devices in separate videos. And for now, what we can do is I can show you how to create a local and a remote device. So for example, let's create a local device, which is a device on the backup server itself. So to create this, let's get on the devices tab, right click, go to new device wizard. For this example, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating an advanced file type device. So as I told you, there are a number of devices available. Data domain, you can ignore the power protect for now. the AFTD or the file type device, the cloud type device, which is a cloud boost, and a cloud tier is again an advanced type of device which you can ignore for now, for this example at least. So what storage node do I want to use? It will be the backup server itself. Let me browse for that path and then select, and then let's click on next. uh, Let me create a new folder called AFTD, and then select that folder to be created as the device. Click on next. Let me name the device as local underscore AFTD. We'll click on next. Which pool do I want this particular device to be assigned to? So I'm going to assign it to the backup pool, or yeah, let's assign it to the backup pool. Let's do that. Click on next. All done. And let's configure. So what is happening now is that you will see that the directory is created, the AFTD device is created, and that particular device is labeled. So when we talk about device, as I told you, the device is a logical and a physical entity, which is a physical location. In this particular scenario or this example, it was a file location on your backup server itself, and the volume was created when I label that particular device. So the labeling of the device creates the object, which is a logical entity, and that particular object is created on that particular folder, and that is how the device is created. So this is how a local device looks like. Now let me go ahead and create a remote device. So let's go click on new. So as I told you, I'm sorry, under devices, click on new device wizard. Again, let's create an AFTD device. Click on next. We're gonna select the storage node as the Linux storage node. Click on next. What this is going to do is now it is going to show me the file system of that storage node. So we had created AFTD earlier. We don't have an AFTD here. Let's create AFTD underscore remote. You can name the folder whatever you want. So it is best to name the folder with name which helps you identify easily what that particular folder was meant for. Another word of caution, do not create the AFTD on your root file system, because if it fills up, it's going to crash your operating system or crash your storage node. Always have a separate mount point if you want to create an AFTD. So AFTD is rarely used because now most of the organization use a data domain, physical or a virtual, either ways. So I'm just going to create that folder and selecting that folder and clicking on next. Let me give a name here to the device as AFTD underscore remote. Again, you can name it anything you want, but name it in such a way that you can identify what that device is for. For example, you can create a device for file system which belongs to a particular pool at a particular location. So you can create like FS for file system, data domain name, for example, if it's a data domain, and then name of the location maybe, and so on. So you can come up with your own naming convention that way. Click on next. I'm going to keep this to the same pool and then select next. So once this is done, review and click on configure. And click on finish. So you will see that this particular device name is a little different from the device name that we had earlier. We did select the name as aftd underscore remote, but you would see a bunch of strings before the name of the device itself. So this particular string before the name of the device is the name of your storage node, and whenever you have any of the device starting with rd equal to and the storage node name, then that is an indication that it is a remote device, and thus the term RD. I hope this was a brief enough introduction for you to understand what a device is, what a storage node is, how to create a storage node, and what a storage node is used for, as well as what a volume is. In upcoming videos, we will be talking about the different settings within a device. Also, we will be looking at creating different types of devices. So we have already seen AFTD here. AFTD is not widely used, so I might not be creating a separate video for this. However, we will be looking at how to create a tape drive, a tape library, a data domain device in upcoming videos. So thank you for sticking on till the end. I'll see you in another upcoming video. Bye bye.